Okay. Hubba-dibba-doo, biddy-biddy-doo, beam bon chikalom, beam beam ching dong. Hey, let's get going. It's time to record. We're here with another podcast with you. And today we're gonna talk about the new movie. About Avatar, the new way of water. Or known as Avatar 2. Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about the new Avatar. Yes, let's do it. You guys cannot see it, but I'm actually moving my body and swaying because I'm cool like that.
All right, there, Casanova.
All right. So,
all right.
Yeah, today, welcome back to another podcast, guys. It's been a while, but we're back. Heck yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm a little excited.
Black. I'm back.
Yes, I am back. And oh my God. Last time we were very busy. We each other's schedule, so that's why we didn't have time to record with each other, but we're back.
We're back, baby.
Yeah, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about, especially a new show that got released called Velma, and my co-hosts have seen the first two. I haven't because I was busy. So we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to ask them questions because I'm very curious about it myself.
So just a quick overview of this new Velma show on HBO Max. So this is an adult reboot of the Scooby-Doo franchise.
Without the Scooby-Doo.
So Scooby-Doo is not part of this new show. So this new show is an origin story of how the gang, basically became the mystery. What are they called? The mystery gang, I guess.
The Mystery Machine.
Well, Mystery Machine's the van, but I guess they're called like the mystery Gang or something.
Yeah, I don't know the true title of them.
Me neither. It's been years since I've watched like any Scooby-Doo thing.
Wait, hold up. I can fix this. Hey Siri, what is the Scooby-Doo gang named?
Here's an answer from Wikipedia. Fred Jones.
I think they might be called Mystery Incorporated or Mystery Inc., if I remember.
Yeah, Mystery Incorporated or Mystery Inc. was what they're known as a group. They go solve mysteries in the town of Crystal Cove.
Yeah, Crystal Cove. So so this new show is an adult reinterpretation of the Scooby-Doo franchise. And this new show focuses on Velma as the main character. For Velma, for those of you who don't know, she is the girl who usually wears the orange sweater and always loses her glasses.
And always says jinkies.
That too. So the story revolves around Velma. It revolves around her home life, her relationships with the other three Mystery Inc. characters. And one thing that's interesting about this show is that some of the Mystery Inc. characters are different races this time.
Yes, I don't know why.
Well, I think because they wanted to reflect the actors that they casted in the new roles. For example, Velma, she's being voiced by Mindy Kaling, and Mindy Kaling, for those of you who might know, she was on The Office. And Mindy Kaling, I believe she's Indian, and so now in this new version of Velma, she is also Indian. And so they also casted Asian actress Constance Wu as Daphne. So in this version, Daphne is Asian, and in this new show, Shaggy is voiced by an actor named Sam Richardson, who is black. So Shaggy in this new version is not named Shaggy. They refer to him as Norville, which is Shaggy's actual name. If you look it up, Shaggy's actual name is Norville Rogers. But in this new one, they only refer to him as Norville, which is kind of odd, and I don't know how I feel about that. Because when Norville first shows up, Velma calls him Norville instead of Shaggy, and I was ready for them to call him Shaggy. But Fred is the only character in the Mystery Inc. gang who is still his original race. But the only reason why they still keep him as a white guy is because they want to make fun of rich, entitled white guys.
My God.
I know.
There's already enough of that in social media and all that. They can watch those. Just keep Scooby-Doo out of it. It's a kid's cartoon. Just let them be.
Well, like I said, this one's not geared towards kids. This is more geared towards adults.
Adults, yes, I know.
Because the mystery that they're trying to solve in the first two episodes are actual straight-up murders.
Oh, damn. All right.
Yeah, and so you actually
Wait, do they show actual blood of the murder?
yes, they actually do show some gore in the first 2 episodes.
Oh, damn. Okay. That's a little bit different.
A little bit of gore. There's also a little bit of nudity in the first episode, and there's like a lot of mentions about like sex and genitalia. So
I see.
this is definitely not your little brother's Scooby Doo.
Now everyone's gonna be very confused in the internet. And when you're watching Velma, and then your little brother comes in, like, you're watching Scooby Doo, and you're just right there, to like, yes, Scooby Doo. But go over there. I'm watching. I'm catching up to you. Like,
Yeah.
just trying to make excuses. Like, I don't want him to see this, and I don't want to get in trouble with my mama.
But the thing that sucks about this new Scooby Doo show, Velma, is that a lot of the characters don't actually feel like the actual characters in Scooby Doo.
They don't?
For example, like Daphne in this new version, she's a drug dealer.
What the?
Yeah.
That? You mean the skinny girl that wears all purple?
Yeah.
Is a drug dealer.
Yeah, she's a drug dealer in this new show.
I thought she was a rich girl.
So
in the original.
So in this version, Fred seems to be like the only rich one, and because he's a rich white dude, his character is like he's a douchebag. So that's what he is.
So he
Daphne,
doesn't like traps?
Yeah.
Because he loves traps in some TV shows. They made him like really love traps.
Well, see, because that's the thing about this new show is like they don't incorporate anything that the characters usually do. Like in this new show, Shaggy, instead of being like, say, like a hippie who likes to eat a lot, he's just like a simp. He's a simp for Velma, and Velma doesn't like him back, and that's all his character is.
How dare in the TV shows, Shaggy was a Giga Chad. He goes for all the women.
Exactly.
He gets all the women. Like, damn. He also is Shaggy Instinct. He can defeat all the villains. He can even defeat Goku and Superman with just a slap.
Yeah, definitely. Shaggy is definitely a fan favorite of anybody who grew up watching Scooby Doo. He was
dude.
Yeah, he was definitely my favorite growing up. But that's like the key problem with like this show is like the characters don't feel like the actual characters. The show almost feels like somebody was trying to create a different show, but because it was being done by HBO and Warner Brothers, they were probably like, hey, let's make this Scooby Doo that way it can appeal to more people. But the problem is like the characters don't even seem like the characters from the past shows. And you know what also sucks about this Scooby Doo reboot is that it's way too meta.
Way too meta?
Yeah,
like
because every line of dialogue seems that they have to reference like something. They have to reference.
Okay.
They have to reference like things about the show or like things in pop culture, and so every line of dialogue and every joke is a reference to something else, which is a very lazy way to write in your jokes. And like I get it, some shows and movies do it good, like Deadpool does it pretty well.
Yeah.
Rick and Morty for a while did it really well, but this one just doesn't cut it because like it's just so boring. The things that they're referencing don't make any sense like in the context of the scene, and it's just not funny.
I see.
And but what sucks about like Velma is that recently I saw a tweet that Velma was like the most watched show or the most watched premiere on HBO Max. So you know what that means? It's gonna get a season 2.
I see.
I know. It's
kind of wondering what they're gonna do. Like have these show like nudity, like complete like nudity? At all?
No, there is like one of the first scenes in the show. It takes place in a girl's locker room, and
okay.
but you know what's really stupid? So it's like it's a scene where like all the girls are showering after PE, and they're talking about like, oh, do you guys think it's funny that like the first show, like the first episode of a show is always filled with gratuitous sex and violence? And it's like,
wait, isn't that a line from Family Guy?
Well, yeah, because like, yeah, that's totally what that's what they were doing. They were straight up doing, it seems today that all you see is violence in movies and sex on TV. Oh my fucking god, they pulled a Family Guy. They were so lazy they couldn't come up with their own like setup or like a different setup for a joke. But no, like the first like few minutes of dialogue, it's the characters talking about, oh, wouldn't it be funny if we were in a show? Oh, blah blah blah. They always do this in a show, and like, oh my god, the first episode's always so violent to hook in the audience.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, they pulled a Family Guy.
They pulled a Family Guy on the first episode?
Yeah.
Really? They pulled a Family Guy. And I thought Family Guy got canceled 3 times and came back 3 times.
It sure did. But you know, you bring up an excellent point is like, I think the reason why HBO Max really wanted to make this show is because they wanted a successful adult animated comedy, because those are doing really well right now because like Family Guy, South Park, and Simpsons have been popular for like ever. And then like Netflix, they have like Big Mouth, F is for Family, BoJack Horseman. And those were very popular when they first came out. So adult cartoons are very popular nowadays. And I think that's what they really wanted. They wanted a popular adult animated show. And I think that's why the reason why the show is so like gratuitous and like so in your face with like how much sex and death and violence there is.
Huh.
You know, because think about it. Like, I don't know how much you are, like how many, what am I trying to say? I don't know how much time you spend on TikTok, but like for me, like my feed is all like South Park, Family Guy, Simpsons clips. Like people love this shit.
When they have like the clip of the Simpsons and then a clip of a game underneath?
Exactly.
Yeah, I've been seeing that a lot. Not even in TikTok, also in Instagram and in YouTube Shorts.
Yeah, it's because people like these shows, and they find ways to get the clips from the internet or off their like television, and they just post it on online. Well, mostly like on TikTok, but yeah. So I really think like that's what HBO wanted. They wanted like the next Family Guy.
I see.
Or the next Rick and Morty.
I see. So they wanted to cancel the show 3 times over and revive it 3 times over. And then they want to be a Rick and Morty where they show references of actual facts that's actually happening. And then shit on it.
If it gets canceled and revived, that would imply that people actually like the show. And like not a lot of people online even like the show to begin with.
I haven't even seen the show, but I only seen clips. I saw one clip where Shaggy and Velma were together in someone's gaming room.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right, whoever's room is this is a true gamer. He got that computer. He got that gaming chair. He got that computer lifestyle right there. He looks like he had a streamer as well. I think
you're talking about the scene where like Shaggy is doing his live stream.
Shaggy is a live streamer. Relatable.
Yeah, but yeah, but again, he just doesn't feel like Shaggy, and I think that's like my biggest problem with this new show. It's like the characters don't feel like the actual characters. Like it would be fun for them to actually be the characters, but they're allowed to say and do more adult things.
That would actually be more better.
Yeah. Yeah, so Velma really sucks. Anything else that you want to mention about Velma before we move on to our feature presentation?
Well, about Velma, I have nothing to say about it. It's just that I just seen a lot of like people talking about it, like, oh, it's all shit. Oh, it's not how I remember them. They changed the characters and they're being fucking racist. Yada yada yada. All that really bad shit. But in reality, to me, I just see it like, all right, so they want to change it up a bit. They want something new. They want to use these characters, but in a more adult version. And I'm okay with them, but it would have been more better if they stick with the original characters and their personalities. Like you said, they were able to say some adult stuff in their original characters and their personalities.
Exactly, because
it would have been much, much better. People would be coming back. Hey, look at this new Scooby-Doo. It's back again, but more adult form.
Yeah, exactly, because it definitely feels like the people who are creating this show are probably not fans of like Scooby-Doo. And so they don't put in like any kind of like care or like love into the product. And yeah, so like I think I think definitely like I don't mind so much that they changed the races of some of the characters, because sometimes you do need to switch things up a little bit just to keep the franchise fresh. And so
Like Little Mermaid.
well, yeah, like Little Mermaid and stuff, but like also like I would actually appreciate it more if this was still like say like a kids cartoon, and they and they swapped out the races of the characters, so that way like maybe little kids can maybe identify more with the characters, or maybe like if this was a kids show and they kept Shaggy black, like I would love the idea of like black kids being able to like look at Shaggy and be like, oh man, he's just like me, or like, oh cool, this show gets me in some way, because I appreciate that. But unfortunately this show doesn't take advantage of the fact that these characters, like what the characters already have, like the characters already have a very defined personality, and they do away with it. It's almost like remaking Looney Tunes and Bugs Bunny not eating carrots or saying, what's up, Doc?
Hey, what's up, Doc?
Exactly. So imagine that. So like that's sort of like what the experience is of watching Velma.
All
right. So with that being said, let's move on to our main topic. So today we're going to be reviewing the brand new Avatar movie, Avatar: The Way of Water.
And also no spoilers, because the movie has been out already for like a week now, week or two now. It kind of depends when this comes out. So
if we do need to talk about a spoiler, we will
give warn
you
guys. We will warn you if you haven't seen it yourself.
So let's just basically talk about like what the movie's about. So Avatar: The Way of Water is directed by James Cameron, the same director as the 2009 Avatar. So this movie takes place 14 years after the original movie. Since then, the humans have been kicked out of Pandora. Jake Sully has continued his relationship with his wife Neytiri. They have children now. They have 2 sons and 1 biological daughter, and they have an adopted daughter who was the daughter of Jake Sully's colleague from the first movie, who unfortunately has passed away since the first movie.
Yep.
And then 14 years pass, and then the humans arrive again on Pandora to recolonize Pandora. And this time our villain is a returning villain.
The general.
Yeah, the general, the corporal from the first movie, who's played by Stephen Lang. And so basically the movie is basically like just like a big revenge plot, because the general wants to get revenge on Jake Sully. And because he's hunting down Jake Sully makes the decision to leave that part of Pandora that they're in, the rainforest, and move more towards the ocean part of Pandora, where they meet up with the water Navi. Yep, the water tribe Navis, and they learn their ways of their culture and society. Hence
the name, The Way of Water.
Exactly. And then things start going smoothly as they adapt and assimilate to this new culture. But trouble arises when the colonel teams up with some poachers and starts hunting down these sort of like whale-like creatures that are very important to the water tribe Navi. And so because they're hunting them down, they conflict arises where Jake Sully's kids get captured by the corporal, and Jake Sully, along with the water tribe, has to rescue them. So that's the basic plot of the movie. So now let's talk about overall what we liked about the movie, or how we feel about the movie, I should say. So I'll let you start. How did you feel about this new sequel to Avatar?
For me, who has seen the first one and was waiting for a part 2 to come out, because I was always curious what happened with Jake Sully, my Jake.
My Jake, yeah.
My Jake. Yeah. I always wondered, like, will he have kids? Will he be like the new chieftain, because he was marrying the daughter of the chieftain that died from the last movie? And when he finally brought up, they just goes to a whole conversation of Jake talking to us. Well, basically he's talking to himself in the audio recording, basically saying that he's been living here for 14 years now, and he already fully speaks Navi now completely. And he compares it with English now. Like, so basically, I know this information already. I can hear this in English, which shows that he knows Navi now and English, and reveals his kids too, his daughter, his 2 sons, and an adopted daughter, and an adopted son as well. But it kind of like he's more part of the story, so I don't want to spoil more of that.
We'll get into spoilers a little bit later.
Yeah, we will talk about a little bit more spoilers a little bit later. So he basically has 3 sons and 2 daughters. Two of them are adopted, and they go through a whole thing of them showing us their way of life, how they've been living, and how the tribe has been gone after they won from the humans, or how they call them the sky people.
Ah, yeah. I like how the Navi referred to like things. Like,
yeah,
they call humans the sky people.
Yeah, the sky people. So they go through the whole life of showing us how they lived, how he trained, how his kids are, and basically just giving us a refresher of what's happened and revealing the new stuff that's going on. And then the next scene goes to when the sky people return.
Yeah. And
they destroyed their whole entire section of the rainforest.
Exactly, yeah.
Which show them angry, saddened, like all the Navi people were saddened to see that the forest is gone. And then skips like a few years, like 1 or 2 years. A year.
It skips over a year because there was a title card.
Yeah, there was a
1
year.
year later.
After a year, they show them fighting, scavenging, getting the weapons, destroying their trade routes, supply routes, everything. And Jake, of course, the chieftain of it all, organized the whole thing and reveals them back after the whole damage has been done. They go and skip a year and them hijacking a train that had weapons, ammunition, rocket launchers, the whole shebang.
I like the fact that Jake Sully, like throughout like a lot of the action scenes, he's the only one like packing heat. Like he actually has a gun while the other Navi use their primitive
technically
weapons.
Some of the Navi still have their bows, but the guns is what they mainly use. If you closely look, you can see there's a bow and an arrow compartment in their flying in the flying beast. If we have the movie in DVD, I will show you like it's slow frame. Some Navi has guns on their hands and also has the bow and arrow on the sides.
Yeah, but I just like the image of him like just always like carrying a gun with him.
Because he's more comfortable with the gun.
Well, yeah, it makes him seem more like an outsider, and it also like reminds you that he used to be a Marine. Yeah. So
a cripple Marine. Yeah, remember Jake used to be a cripple in a wheelchair.
Yeah. So I definitely enjoyed the movie too. One thing that I really liked about the movie is just the look of the movie. I really like the design of like the villains, of like their whole like their technology and like.
Oh yeah, they have evolved quickly.
Yeah, they use like a lot of mech suits and a lot of like interesting technology, and it reminded me a lot of James Cameron's other movie Aliens. The one that he did in the 80s. So it kind of reminded me of that a little bit, which I appreciated. I really liked I didn't like every single new character, but I really liked the dynamics that they created. I really liked how this movie was really about like father and child like dynamics. Like I like that theme because it just really showed us how much Jake Sully and the Colonel struggled with their children.
Yes, because this movie wasn't really focused very heavily on Jake Sully at all. It was mostly focused on the children. Yeah. Because it focused on them because it's them learning the ways of their father, trying to get their approval, trying to be accepted by him. But because he's stubborn, he doesn't show that. But he does show it a little by little. Yeah. Since they moved out of the forest to the water tribe.
Well, yeah, that's his arc, and so that's like the main conflict of the movie. Is like him trying like finding like the right way to protect his family and like how to get along with his kids and how to help his kids through the stuff that they're going through, because it seems like because that's like the main thing about the movie, is because not each kid, because some kids have are more important to the story than others, but the ones that are important to the story, they all have like their own little conflicts. Like, I like the fact that one of his sons, like he has two sons. He has an older son and he has a younger son. And the older son is obviously Jake's favorite, because he's like the one who always like obeys, and
he's basically a warrior.
Yeah, and he's the one that kind of like is a lot. He's a lot like Jake, his older son, and then his younger son, he's more of a screw up. He's more of a
basically the runt of the family.
Well, yeah, he's a little bit of the black sheep of the family. He's disobedient, but he's not like he's not like a brat. You know what I mean? He just kind of likes to do whatever he wants, which oftentimes gets him and his siblings into trouble.
Well, mostly him, because Jake knows that his older son is covering for him.
Exactly.
Which why he likes him, because
but his actions definitely have consequences, not just for himself, but because there are several scenes where he gets him and his siblings in trouble. Because of his actions.
I'm not excusing his misbehavior of him freaking getting his family in danger.
Yeah.
Because the younger brother should have just listened to the older brother on some of the scenes to get out of the situation and get home and alert their father. But he's like, nah, we're good. We got this.
Yeah, but that's his arc. That's sort of like because he feels like an outsider, he has to find his way.
He was trying to get approval from the father that doesn't like him, basically. That's all he's trying to do.
Yeah, I don't think Jake doesn't like him. I just think Jake doesn't like appreciate him in the right ways, and that's probably why he acts up, because he definitely seems to be overshadowed by his older brother. Because there's like a little bit of a Cain and Abel type dynamic to the relationship, where you have the good brother and then you have the bad brother. And then if you know the story of Cain and Abel, it's kind of a spoiler for this movie.
Yeah, basically.
And so I also found his adopted daughter to be interesting, because for her, there's a little bit of a mystery of like where she comes from and what exactly like her purpose is. And later on through the movie, we start seeing more and more like her abilities and what she can do, but also like what her limitations are. So I found her pretty interesting.
I really like her of when she used her abilities.
Exactly.
I thought it was very interesting and very like, ooh, I wonder if she would be able to control this power in the future.
Yeah, because she has like a special connection with like the plant life of Pandora, it seems. And it's very interesting how they're going to use that in the sequels, because we only get a taste of it in this one. But also, like I said, she's the adopted daughter of Jake Sully, because her mother was a character from the original movies, but unfortunately they decided to kill her off, like off screen for this one. So so there's also like that mystery of like who's her dad, or where did she come from? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think like the last like character I want to mention before we continue is that there's also like another kid who's part of this movie who's actually not a Na'vi.
Yeah, that's the one I wanted to talk about, but because it's spoiler, because he's in the movie all of the time.
Yeah. So I think
should we talk about it, or should we let them have a chance to watch the movie themselves?
Well, the movie's been out for a month now, I think, and the movie's also like right now, as of recording, the movie has made over $1.8 billion. So a lot of fucking people have seen it already. So we should just give a warning, because I don't think we can talk about him without talking about like spoilers.
Yeah, because he's part of the big events that actually happened in the movie, and if we mention him, we had to mention those parts as well.
Exactly. So let's
this adopted brother.
Mm-hmm. Spoilers for Avatar 2.
Yeah. So Jake adopt a little brother. His third son is adopted, which he is not Na'vi. He's a human.
He's a human.
A human child.
Who they nicknamed Spider.
Spider, yes. But he also has a human name, which I don't know his real name, because they only mention it once.
I think his name is Javier Quadrach, which Quadrich is the last name of the Colonel, who is the villain.
Villain, yes. So they name him Spider.
Spider, that's his nick. That's what all the characters call him.
Yeah, Spider. So he's a human boy named Spider who has been raised since childbirth to be a Navi. And everyone gives him shit about it at the first part, but little by little they treat him like a Navi.
Yeah,
And there's always jokes on like little monkey, like bro, that's even though you're wearing stripes, you're not gonna be tall. But the Spider always goes like, nah, the stripes make me tall. He makes me feel like Navi. they always mention like he there's always a little mention of little tease towards Spider, saying like, bruh, just because you can shoot a bow like us doesn't mean you're Navi. Like, and they just tease him like a little fun tease, which Spider doesn't like take it as an insult. He takes it as a little joke and go along with it.
Well, yeah, because he's friends with Jake's kids, so he has like a special bond with them. So it's kind of like, you know, if you're part of a friend group, like your friend group is always gonna like tease you or like bust your balls.
Yeah, mess with you.
Whatever.
So I really like Spider because it shows because in the movie it's explained that some humans gets like cryogenically frozen and then sent back to Earth.
Yeah, in order for them to travel back to Earth, they have to be cryogenically frozen. But unfortunately, since Spider was a baby, you can't cryogenically freeze a baby to safely transport them back to Earth. So that's why he got left behind.
Yeah, so like in the movies, it explains that if you cryogenically a baby and send him back to Earth, the baby would not survive the travel and die.
Exactly.
Before it even gets to Earth. Because it didn't have enough nutrients, or because the body was still fragile because it was still developing.
Yeah, and so he gets stuck on Earth. I mean, he gets stuck on Pandora, and he forms this bond with Jake's kids. And one of the scenes in the movie that moves the story along is Jake's kids and Spider. They go back to the original battle. To the place where the final battle from the original movie took place, and they actually saw like the aftermath of it all. And Spider even tells like the kids, "Hey, this is where like your dad fought my dad," which I thought was a pretty
funny thing. Yeah,
nice like little reference to the first one.
Should we mention the enemies are now? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
in this movie, I'll explain it. In this movie, when the Sky people started to land and start to make their base of operations, they reveal the new villains, new soldiers in here, which are the general and his soldiers that were kicked out or killed during the first movie. But they showed it in the most interesting way. They had them wake up as the Navi.
Yeah.
They're now avatars now.
Yeah,
the Navis.
Yeah, the way that they introduce the general is like it's him waking up. It's like it's after they transferred his memories onto like the new Navi body, and he has like a freak out, which was which I found it a little bit funny, but also like a very interesting way. Very interesting how they revealed him.
Yeah, because when he woke up, he saw Navi around, like a couple of Navis around him, and he thought that he was being captured by the Navi.
Yeah.
Because he thought he was still alive.
Yeah, because probably like his last memory was like him going into battle.
Yeah.
Probably some PTSD shit.
Yeah, so when he woke up, he started attacking the people around him. He didn't even notice the humans at all around that area.
Yeah.
He just saw the Navi and started beating. But fortunately, the people that were Navi as well were his soldiers.
Yeah,
his partners.
Like, they're like, Colonel, like, it's me.
Yeah, they're trying
Private
to calm him down.
So.
Yeah, and then once he was restrained enough, they say their name, like Colonel, it's me, yada yada yada, and then like what? And then the other ones like say their names as well, like I'm yada yada yada, and then another one say I'm yada 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 yada, and then the Colonel is like, okay, so I'm with my crew, so he finally calms down, but he was very confused because he was basically a clone of his past self, because as we know the Colonel died in battle, so basically this is a new version of him, a new clone of himself being Navi. So it's not him controlling the Navi character like the old movie, it's him being the Navi 100%.
Yeah, it's almost like how Jake Sully controls his avatar, because Jake Sully's old body doesn't exist anymore because it was destroyed in the last movie.
No, Jake Sully wasn't. The body wasn't destroyed. If you remember correctly, in the end of the movie, his avatar and his actual human body went into the tree, combined the nerve cell, like the tree.
Yeah, but
put
basically
nerve-
his body doesn't exist anymore. He is one with his Navi
Yeah.
body. And so he doesn't need to like go back and forth again like in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
So after we get revealed that the Colonel is back, he has a sort of a similar scene like in the first one, like because
When
like
he
in
talks to his soldiers about
Yeah.
getting ready to fight the Navi again.
and then he meets the new general who's played by the actress Edie Falco, and similar to like similar to like the first movie where he had a conversation with Jake while he was in the mech suit, we get to see the Colonel who is using a more slimmer, more sleeker mech suit to practice with. She's like punching a punching bag, and I found that very interesting that it's a similar scene to the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so basically like his goal is just to capture Jake Sully and to take back Pandora, because they also mention that the Earth is basically dying. They heavily imply that climate change is really destroying the Earth, and that Earth is no longer inhabitable for regular humans. So they're planning to recolonize Pandora as a new home for humans. That's what they mention in the movie. So that kind of like gives them motivation.
But the way they mentioned that they're trying to make Pandora the new Earth, they said we're ready for recolonization, but we need to take care of the natives.
They have to pacify the hostiles.
Yeah, pacify the hostile.
Yeah, and so
Meaning they gotta get rid of them.
Yeah, and so what I like after they say that is that they cut to like Jake and his team raiding these ships, and it cuts to that action scene, and I thought that action scene was pretty cool. Because like one thing that I liked about the first movie was like all the flying scenes, and we get plenty of those in this movie as well. So let's talk about how like Jake and his family moved to the Water Tribe.
Oh, I love this scene because it was very like sad that him
Mm-hmm.
has to step down as being the chieftain.
Yeah.
Because never since he got married to the daughter of the chieftain, he became the new chieftain of the Rainforest Tribe.
Yeah.
And the way they did it is to choosing the new chieftain. They say that if for the Rainforest Tribe to accept the new chieftain, the old chieftain must die.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning to kill the old chieftain. But because that everyone respect Jake Sully, they
Mm-hmm.
did not follow that tradition all the
Mm-hmm.
way. They just cut him, saying that he is now dead.
Mm-hmm.
And the family moved with him, and everyone was, if you saw, all of them were saddened to see them go.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Rainforest Tribe really loved
Mm-hmm.
Jake Sully as their tribe.
Well, yeah,
Because he was a
freed
great
them.
leader. He provided for them, he protected them, and provided like new ways of trying to heal.
And he also freed them from the Sky People.
Yeah,
in the first
exactly.
one.
As well as that, he was basically their champion.
Exactly. And it's also interesting that when they go to the Water Tribe, there are several like people in that tribe who don't respect him as much. So it's an interesting dynamic.
Yes,
seeing-
because he is now no longer the chieftain that has titles and authority.
Yeah.
They are just seeing him as a commoner person.
Exactly. And so the reason why he has to leave is once the Colonel and his crew start hunting for Jake Sully, they run into his kids, to Jake Sully's kids and Spider. They get captured, and the boys end up calling Jake Sully, their dad, for help to rescue them. And so him and Natiri go and rescue the kids. But unfortunately, Spider gets taken away by the soldiers, and he's used as not bait, but he's used. They interrogate him to get information from him, essentially. And he sort of like reconnects with his dad, the Colonel. And so he uses his his relationship with this kid as not as a bribe, but for a way for him to find Jake Sully, because he knows the language and he knows the culture of Pandora, and so he can use them to like hunt down Jake Sully. So I found that very interesting that they did decide to let Spider have this sort of relationship with his long dead dad. And so they go to the Water Tribe, and he meets with the Water Tribe chief and his wife. And so we notice that the wife is very dismissive of Jake Sully and his family. Like, she's constantly like criticizing them, and she doesn't like the fact that Jake Sully and his kids are like half alien essentially. And she also hates the fact that they're forest Navi, because their arms aren't as big and their tails aren't as their tails are smaller than the water Navi. Because if you notice, the water Navi, their biceps and their arms are more beefier, and their tails are more like fish tails in a way. So because like they adapted to the water, and she doesn't like the fact. But the chief, the chief of the Water Tribe, he basically accepts Jake Sully and his family with open arms because he respects Jake Sully. But I found it interesting that the wife basically was being a bitch and she hated them.
Yeah, because I think she was mostly concerned of the trouble they were bringing.
True.
For asking for protection and shelter.
True, but also she was kind of a bitch. Like,
yes, she was. I'm not
she,
disagreeing about that.
Because when she grabbed Kiri, the adopted daughter's hand, she said, alien.
She said demon's blood.
Or demon blood.
Yeah, what she grabbed, like, demon's blood.
Yeah, and I was like, what a fucking bitch. I hope you and the baby that you're carrying dies.
Jesus Christ.
Because she is pregnant.
Yes, she is.
But
she still moves, though. She still fights.
Yeah, because I think that's meant to show like how strong she is, even though she is pregnant with a child. And so Jake Sully and his family have to they have to learn the culture in order to fit in.
Yeah, they basically got told that they will be accepted, but they must learn their ways to live and be prosperous here.
Yeah,
if not, they cannot do anything about it.
Yeah, and so then we go into like this montage of Jake Sully and his kids like learning the way of the water.
Basically.
Yeah, and so by this point the movie is like we're kind of like in the middle part of the movie. The movie is basically more about like them just like learning the ways of the water. So in this part, it's just like a lot of scenes of them like trying and failing to learn how to ride the new creatures and how to like properly breathe underwater and to hold their breath, and then just learning how to like just learn the ways of that culture. But at the same time, we also cut back several times with the Colonel and his soldiers and Spider teaches them like the ways of the Na'vi as well. Like we see the Colonel, what do you call it when like they bond, like he bonds with one of the flying creatures from the first movie. And so it's actually a pretty funny scene because he can't control the creature, and the creature sort of like knocks him and the Colonel off of the cliff that they are, and they think that the Colonel has like either died or is injured, so they leave. But then the Colonel comes back because he's like, hoorah, yeah, I did it, look at me, boys.
But the funny thing is, Spider told them that was laughing because the original plan was to neutralize the creature, put it to sleep, so they'd be able to like capture it and train it.
Yeah.
But Spider stopped them, saying, "Really, you gotta take that?" And like, why? The Colonel just goes to Spider like, "Why? Did Jake did it the hard way?" And Spider say, "Yeah, he did it the hard way."
Yeah.
And
yeah,
basically taunting them, saying that, "Wow, you're gonna take the easy way out."
Yeah.
All right, babies.
He really has a boner for Jake.
So the general's like, all right, here, take this neutralizer gun. I'm going to go do it. And then when the general was actually doing it, trying to control it, Spider suddenly just went like, he uses trap and bait, right? And then like, now you tell me. While he was still like struggling with the creature. Yeah. And Spider was just there laughing, just seeing him suffer. Because in the first movie, they show that they had a trap just near the mouth, so they don't get bit, and they have bait as well. So they give them the bait first to lure them out, and they send out the trap to capture the mouth while I was eating. And that's when they go in, they capture the beast to the sync with it, the bond with it, and be able to fly with it. It was really interesting how the spider and the general relation goes, because multiple times they show each other like learning how to talk, how to do like certain things as a Navi.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man showing them how to do it correctly.
Yeah, it's a good sort of like father-son bonding moments.
Mm-hmm.
Because also that kind of like, because it also makes you sort of feel like, if like, could Spider like not betray, but could he like
the new general, his new father?
Yeah, could he like him more as a father and maybe like want to like return with the humans instead of being with his friends?
Well, technically, Spider is basically talking to a clone of his dead father.
Yeah, but
they're
still creating like a bond. Like it's kind of like the thing about like blood is more thicker than water. They're like in many ways he is his dad because he has his memories, and it's like the closest thing to his actual dad that Spider has. So like that's what they're implying a lot through their relationship. Because like obviously Jake has his kids, and he probably sees like how Jake bonds with his kids, and he probably wants that because he doesn't have that like in any kind of way. So that's why like their relationship is important for the movie, because like their relationship does pay off in a very interesting way, because they bond for a little bit, but sooner or later conflict is going to happen, and then in the end it's very interesting where their relationship ends off. Because like that's why it's important for them to build this bond, even though they're technically like he's technically not the actual dad, like his actual dad that not gave birth to him, but who consummated him. In many ways he is his dad because he shares the memories of his dad, and he identifies as his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
but they're not a dad. They even told that I am not your father. I'm basically a clone of your father, of his memories.
Yeah, but that's like on the surface. Like you have to read in more into the context.
I get the context, but I'm just saying that's how they.
I'm saying like that almost doesn't matter, because what they're saying is not what they're feeling. You know what I mean?
Yes, I get it.
Like that's something that you have to like think about, like when you think about like where their relationship ends up. Because the Colonel, he tries to act all rough and tough with Spider, but at the same time you sort of see that Spider, like he's being more and more he's being endeared to him, like he sees him more and more as his own, because they bond from time to time throughout the movie, which I liked. Like that's something that I really liked about the movie, because it made their relationship very complex, because at the end their relationship is going to go one way or the other. So that's like one thing that I liked about their parts of the movie.
All right.
So I think we have to mention sort of like, so mostly when we're in the water tribe of the Na'vi, the movie mostly focuses on Jake's kids.
Yeah.
And from my recollection, they mostly focus on Jake's second son, and I'm gonna fuck up his name. His second son's name is oh nope, not there. Ooh,
the screw up.
Well, he's a screw up, but I want to call him by his
Na'vi name. Yeah, I got it.
Loka.
What?
Loaka.
Lodakaka?
No, Loak. There we go. Loak. Yeah. So the name of Jake and Natiri's second son is Loka. No, Loka. No, Loak. Yeah, his name is Loak. So Loak is Jake and Natiri's second son. So he's the one who screws up more in Jake's eyes, and he prefers his older brother. So there's an interesting scene that after they learn like how to swim and how to bond with the creatures of the water, there's a scene where Kiri, who's the adopted sister, she's not like playing in the water, she's like observing the sand. And so the kids of the chief, or the chief's son and his friends, come and bother her, and then her two brothers come to defend her, and just as they're leaving, Loak decides to punch the water chief's son, and it causes a fight.
Yep.
And I like the scene that after the fight, where Jake is kind of like, reprimanding his two sons. He pulls aside his older son, and he's like, "How'd the other guys look?" And he said, "Worse." And he's like, "Attaboy."
Yeah, attaboy.
I love that. I love
Yeah,
that little scene.
even though you're like punishing your sons for fighting, but at least defending themselves, he wants to know that he did it worse than them, because he wants to know if it was worth it of them fighting.
And also Jake when he tells like his older son, "You got to stop taking the heat for this knucklehead," you really see how Jake feels about his two sons. Like, again, they have this Cain and Abel type dynamic where it's obvious that one son is preferred over the other.
Yep.
And so Loak goes to apologize to the chief's son, and so the chief's son and his friends get revenge on Loak by taking him outside of the reef to go hunting. But they trick him by abandoning him and leaving him in a dangerous spot where he gets attacked by this almost like shark reptile looking creature, and it turns into a very suspenseful
moment.
Yeah,
yes.
a very suspenseful moment where Loak is trying to escape this crazy beast who's trying to eat him, but then he gets saved by a Tolkun.
A Tolkun.
A Tolkun is sort of like this whale type creature that exists in the world of Pandora, and so this Tolkun saves Loak, Jake's son, and he starts forming a friendship with this animal, and he even helps the Tolkun by taking out like a harpoon that was on his fin, and we later learn why he has that harpoon in his fin when we sort of learn his backstory. But it's very interesting, this relationship that they form, because both the Tolkun and Loak are outsiders. They're outcasts, because that Tolkun is blamed for the deaths of not only Navi, but deaths of his own species, because they were being attacked by the Sky People who killed his mother, and they wanted to get revenge on the Sky People, but unfortunately the battle ended in a lot of casualties, and he was blamed for those casualties, and thus he is an outsider.
An outcast.
Or an
basically
outcast.
What they call them.
And so because he is an outcast, Jake's son relates and bonds with him, because we do get several scenes where it's just them sort of like just like hanging out, getting to know each other and forming a bond and a friendship, which I thought was really nice.
Yeah, it was very nice when that happened, because it's two people that are basically outcasts for things they cannot control in themselves.
Exactly.
And I really like their bond, because once they bonded, actually bonded, and saw the backstory of I forgot the name of the whale.
I forget the name of it too. I just know that the species is called Tolkun.
Tolkun? I just gotta refer to them as Tolkun.
Yeah.
Because once they bonded with the Tolkun, he understands why he was outcast, and he was trying to clear his name. But the Water Tribe has restricted rules saying if an Tolkun has a fin cut off, they're an outcast as a dangerous Tolkun for killing or eating Navi.
Exactly. And yeah, so he is an outcast, but the reason why he was an outcast is because he wanted to defend his species and the Navi from the Sky People, but because he did it in a way that wasn't, I guess wasn't seen as honorable, and was also seen as reckless, he got ousted from his society and from the Navis. But Jake's son continuously insists that he is good, that he shouldn't suffer for his mistakes, which is like it's sort of like him defending himself, but also defending his friend at the same time, which I thought was like really, which I really loved. I really loved that about his character. And so
fixing all mistakes.
Yeah. And so as the movie goes along, we start to see that the colonel and his soldiers are hunting down Jake, and so they find out. Because Kiri, Jake's adopted daughter, she has a seizure underwater when she connects with the great tree of the water tribe, and so they have to call in these scientist friends from the rainforest to come and help her. But because their aircraft is detected, the military, the other sky people, they detect the ship, and they figure out that Jake is hiding in the ocean part of Pandora. And so we see the soldiers and the colonel, they go to different tribes, they burn down villages, they intimidate the natives, and it's and we start to see Spider start to resent and hate his dad, essentially, because he doesn't agree or approve of how his dad is hunting down Jake. And so because they're not able to find Jake, the colonel teams up with these poachers who hunt down the Tokun for the fluids in their body, because their body fluids have this.
Well, not their body fluids, basically their brain.
But it is a fluid.
Yes. So basically, they hunt the Tokuns because their brain fluids have a special property to the humans to let them live longer and stay young much longer.
Exactly, and
that's all they're taking, like all in the brain fluids, and they threw everything else away.
Yeah, and so it makes you think of sort of like real life situations, because like for a long time, whales, like back in the day, like in the 1800s, people would go on ships and hunt for whales to take like their blubber, because their blubber was used to make like candles, soap, all kinds of products. And like their body oils, I think, were also made to like, oils for lamps and stuff. So it kind of reminds you of that, of how like people like hunt down like animals to use them for like resources. And so that's what these poachers are. And so we get a very intense scene of the colonel teaming up with the poachers, and they're hunting down these Tokun, and they end up killing a mother Tokun and extracting her fluids, and also leaving her baby an orphan.
No, but they killed the baby.
Or they kill a lot of Tokuns, because that's what pisses off the water tribe, because the Tokun because their bond with the Tokun is a very sacred bond for them. And yeah, so as the movie keeps moving along, we get a scene where Loak tries to warn his Tokun friend to get away from the sky people, because they're going to be hunting them down, and he doesn't want him to die.
Yeah,
but they're already too late, because he, on his fin, he already has a tracking. Well, not his fin, on his body, he already has a tracking device, a tracking sonar on him, that the poachers are going to use to track him down. And because they're there saving him, the colonel takes advantage of it, and he kidnaps Jake's kids once again, and Jake has to confront the colonel and save his kids. And basically for the rest of the movie, it's basically like a 20-minute long action scene for the rest of the movie. And the action scene is really good. I really like this. I really like this, basically this whole scene of how they rescue Jake's kids. Because one thing that I like how Loak's Tokun friend, he basically like Jake is being forced to go alone to save his kids, because the colonel is threatening to kill his son. And so he has to go alone. But the son's Tokun friend, like, he's like, bitch, I've had enough of this bullshit. And he like jumps out of the water, and he crashes onto the ship, and he uses his tail to like start like hitting the other soldiers. Everything? Yeah, and he basically like saves the day for the Na'vi, because it was like so cool, because like he was the MVP of that scene.
Yeah, and throughout the movie, the poachers say that these Tokuns are very docile. They don't fight, they don't attack, they don't do anything. Then once he attacked, the researcher and the biologist there, the biologists hate him, saying, "I thought you say they don't attack."
Yeah.
And the guy just looked at him, and he was smiling like, they're attacking now. You
Yeah.
dumb bitch.
Yeah, no, but it was really cool. I liked how, because this sort of reminds me of like the first movie of how like the Na'vi were able to use like the just like the environment to defeat the humans. So similar to like the first one, this Talcun was able to like save his friend because he formed a bond with him.
And I think because he helped is because he didn't want to lose another friend.
Exactly, and also he's like getting revenge on the Sky People essentially.
Yep.
And so it's really cool. So then after the Talcun basically puts the ball in their court, the Na'vi start attacking, and then we get more of that awesome like Avatar action where they're like flying around and having like shooting their bow and arrows and dodging gunfire and stuff like that.
And them using the water to evade the bullets because
Yeah.
there's a scene where they were starting to fire. All the Na'vi went underwater, and when they were shooting the bullets on the water, you can see the bullets going in and slowing down and flipping around and starting to sink down.
Yeah, it was a really cool scene, and also that scene also gave me Titanic vibes because I don't know if you know this, James Cameron, the director of this and the first Avatar, is also the director of Titanic, because like the ship that they're in, it starts to like break and get damaged, and it starts sinking. So like a lot of that scene gave me a lot of Titanic vibes. And so it reminded me a little bit of that, but it also reminded me a lot of like Aliens, which we should watch someday for this podcast. Because like Aliens, because in the end of that movie, it's not a ship, but it's like a space station. It's the big climax takes place in a space station that's gonna self-destruct. So in a way, it was kind of like that, where like we have to escape the sinking ship, and it's a really cool scene because they do like so much in that one ship. And so throughout the action scene, we see that Jake's kids finally escape, because the older brother is able to save his younger brother, the chief's daughter, and his sister, because they were being shackled to the railing of the ship. He sets them free, but his brother insists on them saving Spider, who is also on the ship. And because they end up saving Spider, the older brother he gets shot at. And so this leads to like one of the most emotional scenes in the movie, where everybody basically the older brother's death scene. And spoilers.
Yeah, sorry, spoilers.
And it was a very intense scene because I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, me neither. Well, when I saw it, I didn't cry. I was like, oh shit, damn, bro.
Well, yeah, I definitely felt sad because it was like, oh damn, they're actually gonna kill like usually like in movies they don't kill any of the kids.
Yeah, they don't kill it, but they did it.
They did it, and also it kind of goes back to like my observation, because I observed that they had like a Cain and Abel dynamic, and so like in the story, Cain and Abel, the good brother dies and the bad brother lives. So, it's kind of like that because, the good brother who's favorited by the dad dies, and, the bad son is the one who lives. And it was pretty intense. And so, but while they're saving Spider, the little sister and Kiri, the adopted sister, get caught again. And
there was a little quip where the little sister mentions like, I got captured again.
Exactly. And yeah, it was pretty intense. Another intense scene is like before like the final battle between Jake and the Colonel. There's kind of like a standoff scene where the Colonel has Kiri, like he has a knife to her neck, and he's forcing Jake to put down his weapon and to like and for him to like surrender himself. But Neytiri at the same time, she grabs Spider and she threatens the Colonel with killing Spider. At first, the Colonel is like, "Go ahead, I don't care about him. He's not even my son." And then Neytiri, she's like 100% committed to slicing Spider's neck open
and saying a son for a son.
Oh yeah. Oh, but she even goes more extreme because instead of his neck, she kind of like she doesn't flip him, but she flips her knife, and she sort of like she insinuates that she's gonna stab him in the heart, make it more of a gruesome death. And then the Colonel, because the Colonel bonded with Spider throughout the movie, we see him sort of like, you know, he shows some love for his child, and so he decides to let go of Jake and Natiri's adopted daughter, and lets him go in exchange for Natiri not killing Spider. So, like, again, that's what I say, that their relationship was really interesting and complex, because, you know, sometimes they don't see each other as father and son, sometimes they bond, sometimes they're in conflict, but finally, at the end of the day, the Colonel saw him as a son, and he saw him as something that he could lose. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so yeah, so as the movie continues on, Jake and the Colonel have their fight. Jake gets the upper hand on the Colonel and essentially, like, you know, drowns him. And as Jake is going around the ship saving his son, he meets up with his son, but Jake is already so wounded that he thinks that he can't survive enough to escape the ship. But his son basically, like, uses what he learned from the Water Tribe, and he gives, like, not only he gives his dad the confidence to escape with him, but he sort of like reassures him that, you know they bond again. So he sort of like reassures him that he loves him still. And also Spider, as Spider is escaping, he finds the Colonel, and he almost like leaves him, but I guess because the Colonel, you know, saved his life, he feels like he owes him at least a chance for him to live. So he saves the Colonel, which I find it interesting, because I was really expecting the Colonel to die in this movie.
Same, but I have some theories where we're gonna talk about later.
Well, we'll definitely talk about what we want to see in the next movies. But yeah, so Jake and Natiri and their kids escape. Their bond is stronger than ever, and Jake decides that running away is not the way to, like, protect his family. The way to protect his family is to fight these sky people, and basically the movie ends like there. So it ends with, like, not the sky people leaving, but leaving it open for a sequel. So that's basically Avatar: The Way of the Water. And before we talk about what we want to see in the sequels, let's just talk about our final thoughts of this movie. So let me begin. Personally, I enjoyed the movie. I had a lot of fun with this movie, but I will say this. I don't think I like this one as much as I did the first one.
Why?
So one thing that I felt when I watched it the first time, because I watched it twice. So one thing that I felt about this one is that this one didn't feel as epic as the first one. Because for me, when I watched the original back in 2009, for me, it felt so epic, so new, such a new experience, because it just felt grand. It felt like, because, like, we were being introduced to a new world, a new set of characters, and it was big and it was grand. This one felt a little bit smaller in scale. I don't know how I would describe it, but it just felt smaller. Because I think one of the problems is like a lot of the scenes felt very similar to scenes in the first movie. Like I mentioned, like the Colonel meeting up with the new general is like the scene where Sully is talking with the Colonel for the first time. So a lot of it felt the same. So I think that's the reason why it feels a little bit less epic for me. Also, one thing that I feel that made it a little bit less epic is that Pandora in the first movie, there was like so much to see. So much rainforest, so much of the tribe, the floating mountains. And then in this one, we're mostly in the water. And then a lot of the scenes in the water feel very similar. Like the look of the ocean is not diverse enough. Like it looks too much of the same.
Well,
And in the first one, it was a little bit more diverse because just like the look and the colors of everything felt a little bit more diverse. And so that's why I feel like the movie's a little bit less epic for me. And then that's why I don't like this one as much as the other one. And then the movie's too long. I really felt that this movie should have been either 2 hours or 2.5 instead of 3 hours and 12 minutes. Because I'm sorry, we really didn't need a lot of those scenes. We didn't really need like all those scenes like underwater and stuff. And like sometimes like the movie takes too long to get to certain parts. And sometimes and the story is a bit too simple for it to be so long. Because if the story was a bit more complex and with like a lot more mystery or a lot more twists and turns, I would be a little bit more comfortable saying that yes, this does deserve to be 3 hours. The story was a little bit too simple for me to justify the 3 hours. Like those are my two main problems. The movie doesn't feel as epic as the first one, and the length is too long. But other than that, action, the effects, the acting, it's all good. I liked it a lot. But the length and just like the but the downgrade of epicness is what really bothered me.
Well, one thing, I think they didn't do much of the water is because even our old planet, we don't know nothing of the ocean. We only explore 5% of it. And the world, we explore 95% of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably why they did it the same way in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, they haven't explored
mm-hmm.
more than 5% of the ocean. So
True.
that's probably why they did the same thing in here. Because we only know the surface level of the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
How it looks, how the coral looks, how the ground looks, there's trenches and all that, but we don't explore more than away from the water. We explore closer to where the land is.
True, but
so that's probably why they did what they did.
But also,
I have a feeling in the second movie they're gonna explore more in the water, more epicness, more regions, more like underwater creatures and all that.
Well, there is something that I will point out when we get to our next part of the episode. Something about what James Cameron said about the sequels. But I feel like also, this is a fictional story. This isn't based on any kind of like science or anything.
I know that. I'm just saying
they could have pushed the creativity a little bit more to make it look a little bit more to make it look a little bit more interesting or a little bit more different. Because I get it, because that director, James Cameron, he loves the ocean. He spent many years like doing like deep sea diving, and he also did Titanic. Did you know that some of the scenes, like some of the shots in the movie Titanic are of the actual Titanic? Because they went down and recorded actual footage of the sunken Titanic. And so he loves the ocean. But also one thing that I felt that he did in the original Avatar is like, I love the idea of like the floating mountains, because those don't exist in real life. I like the idea of the spirit tree and the different colors. I like the fact that the Na'vi are blue, because that's like blue is one of like the most like least like natural colors that we get in nature. And so it's awesome that he chose to make them blue. Like that's kind of like what I feel that they should have pushed more. They should have pushed more creative design and maybe do something a little bit different to make it feel as epic. Because this one for me, it just didn't feel as epic as the first one. Because for me also, one thing is like, I think I liked the characters of Jake and Neytiri in the first movie a bit better than the characters of his kids. Because unfortunately for like a lot of the kids, I didn't really like feel connected to them as much, because in the first movie it's all about Jake and his relationship with the Na'vi and his relationship with his superiors, and it's that conflict. And I really liked Jake as a character in the first one, but in this one I didn't really bond, like I didn't really connect with his kids as much as I did the first one. So that's why like the drama of it all sometimes didn't really hit me as some people. So so that's why I think I like the first one a little bit better, because I think I just like the story and I like how the characters were done in that first one.
All right.
But also the first one is more of a self-contained story, because had Avatar never had a sequel, I would be okay with the way that it ended. This one, it's sort of like a to be continued almost, because we are going to get sequels down the line.
Yeah, we're gonna get sequel 3, 4, and 5.
At least 5 or 6.
Which I am 100% excited for it. 100%. 100% excited for it right now.
It'll be interesting to see where they take the next few avatars.
Which I have some theory for that.
So yeah, so that's sort of like my feelings towards Avatar. If I were to give it like a rating, I would probably give it like a 7 out of 10. The original, I would probably give it like an 8. But you know, this one's still good. I just didn't like the fact that it was so long and that it felt a little bit less epic. But who knows? There might be people out there who've never even seen the first one and think that this one is as epic can be. So yeah, so how did you feel about the movie overall?
I loved it. I didn't cry in none of the sad scenes.
Me neither.
I didn't cry, but I saw a lot of people did cry. I looked at them. I looked around like, damn, there's a lot of people crying about this scene.
Yeah, because there is a lot of emotion at that end part.
No, even when they were killing the animals too, there were some people crying.
Well, yeah, that's the thing I would say definitely about this one. This one definitely has more emotion than the first one. But ironically, I connected more with the characters in the first one than this one. But yeah. So what else did you like about the movie?
I really liked the conflict with the general.
Mm-hmm.
I liked how he started off saying, "All right, let's fight," and then in the end he bonded with his long son, and then when his son saved him, he wanted to take him back. But I had a feeling like the way he was all beaten up and like injured,
Mm-hmm.
and he wanted his son to come back with him to bond even more, and see him like fly away. I had a feeling that he's not going back to the military base.
That's a good theory.
That I had a feeling because the way he looked,
what?
that he
I can
was
definitely
defeated.
see that happening. I can see that happening.
The way he was defeated and he went on his way, I had a feeling he was not going back to the military base. I think he was gonna go off, steal some supplies, and leave, and just be a hermit for a bit, living inside the forest or living at some
full Rambo.
Exactly. He was gonna live. Then when he returns in I think in movie 3,
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna help Jake take away the side people.
So you think that there's gonna be he's gonna turn his character around?
Yes, I have a feeling he's gonna have his character turn around. So when the third one comes out,
Mm-hmm.
he's not gonna be shown at all until the end credits of him seeing what's happening and seeing that they have going on. But since he knows what's going on because he's been spying on them throughout the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, I think we need to get. He will just have a panel of him like, Jake Sully needs my help.
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely see that happening. I did read somewhere that his character is definitely going to return for the sequel. And unfortunately, I think I also read something that kind of spoiled the rest of the movies, that I think he's going to appear in every single one of the sequels. So we'll see what they do with his character, because I think if they keep that character too much of a villain for the rest of the series, I think it's going to get old and it's going to get tired.
Like I said in my theory, the second one they don't show him as much, but in the third one he shows up, changed man, seeing that what he's doing is wrong, and just help Jake and any other Marines at that time. Because I have a feeling in the second one he will try to get some of his Marine brethren to leave the military and go with him, live the way he's been living, and then the third one shows up to Sully's doorstep, not hunting him, but wanting to help him, get rid of them.
You know, one thing I want to see for the sequel, I want to see a tribe of Na'vi actually be the villains. And it's kind of been confirmed that might happen at some point, because James Cameron did say that he was going to include a fire tribe Navi. Now,
A fire tribe Navi.
Now, I don't know exactly how they're going to incorporate fire into this universe, but I think the way that they're going to do it is they're probably going to have like a tribe of Navi that lives like maybe near a volcano.
That's what I was thinking too when you said fire tribe.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Like their whole skin is all black and red.
Yeah, maybe like they're very heat resistant.
Like very heat resistant,
Yeah.
right? And can touch lava for a bit before taking it out.
Yeah.
Able to mold lava to something.
Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting.
And I think that concept, they're probably gonna do something where like this tribe is like an evil tribe. So I would really like to see like a tribe of Navi be the villains for once, and I would like to see how they would handle that conflict.
Ooh, I have a feeling for their conflict if they do bring that evil tribe Navi.
Mhm.
Like Avatar, the last Airbender, the fire tribe will go and try to take over the other nation, try to take over the other people.
Well, speaking of Avatar, there was actually a thing about the Avatar: The Last Airbender series that was affected by the first movie. In 2004, while they were developing the Avatar: The Last Airbender series, they had to change the name of the show so that it's different enough from the first movie. Because actually, James Cameron was working on the first Avatar. He was hoping to release it back in 1999 or 1998. But the technology just wasn't there for like the animation. So for like all of the 2000s, he had a copyright for the name Avatar. So Nickelodeon had to like change the name of the show so that it wouldn't like be confused with that movie. So I guess that's why it's called Avatar: The Last Airbender. And then later, when the Last Airbender movie came out, because the Avatar movie came out the year before, they had to like drop the Avatar from the title and just call it The Last Airbender. So it's like, it always comes back. And then also the title of this movie, The Way of Water, is also the name of an episode from Avatar: The Last Airbender. So it all just keeps coming back.
Going in a circle. The fire tribe, the fire nation, the water tribe, the water tribes.
Yeah.
Where's the earthbenders? Where's the earth tribe? The Earth Kingdom.
Maybe there's desert Navi.
Oh my god.
That would be a cool thing if they did desert Navi.
Well, sandbenders. Basically, that's what they're called, but Earth tribe.
They could ride like animals on the sand.
That's actually quite interesting, actually.
Yeah, definitely. Like one of the sequels should have like desert Navi. Let's see. Do you think Spider is ever going to become a Navi in the sequels?
Well, the show in the movie that they're able to create the Navi characters still.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a feeling if Spider wants to no longer be connected to his father as human and become a true Navi, they know a way to do it. They did it on the first movie, so they can definitely do it on the second, on the third or fourth.
Because I feel that with what is set up about his character, I do feel like at some point he's gonna have to become a Navi at some point.
Yes.
So that's definitely something I'd like to see. My other prediction of the movies is I think in the very last Avatar movie, I think Jake Sully might die.
That's kind of sad to hear, but all right.
I think he'll die, but I think he's gonna pass down the torch to his children. Maybe like especially his son, the only son that he has now. Like I think
you don't know. He may get his wife pregnant again, and
maybe, but I
have Bebe again.
But I think maybe it's a possibility that maybe like in the last Avatar movie he might die. That's what I think.
I see. Till you like people dying, I see.
Well, not that I like people dying, but I think it'll be very emotional, and I
know. I was trying to make a joke.
It'll close. It'll create like it'll create finality to the series. You know, it'll leave it in.
I'll
a
be
conclusion.
okay if they kill him off when he's in old age.
Maybe.
But old age, that's what I'll be able to accept. Him dying at old age.
But I wouldn't mind it if he died in battle too, because
I
would think that would be epic. So Anything else that you want to mention about The Way of Water?
I liked it. It's an 8 out of 10. I really liked it.
I liked it too. I didn't enjoy it as much as you did. It was still a fun experience for me.
You know me, I like plot, and I like the plot, what it delivered.
You like the plot.
Not that kind of plot, but yes, that kind of plot.
Yeah, so I enjoyed the movie. I had a good experience with it. I wish it wasn't as long and maybe a little bit more epic, but you know, c'est la vie. We'll wait for the next one. So with that being said, thank you for joining us for our discussion of Avatar: The Way of Water. Join us next time for another exciting episode of Anime Match Cut Podcast.
Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please leave a like, subscribe, and share it because, come on, we're good. We talk about movies, so you guys don't need to know the whole story plot. We just basically break it down.
Yeah, boy.
So if
Yeah,
you don't
boy.
have time to watch it, just have us in the background so we tell you about the movie.
The Way of Water.
Stop. You cringe. Cringe. Cringe.
The Way of Fire.
The Fire Nation.
The Way of Sand.
The Way of Creepers.
I guess the first one is air because they fly a lot.
Yes.
All right.
Avatar: The Way of Air. Now Avatar: The Way of Water.
Avatar: The Last Na'vi. That should be the title of the last movie.
Oh, they're probably gonna get copyrighted.
Oh, they're gonna piss off Nickelodeon so
Oh,
bad.
yes, they will.
All right.
But it would be fun to see.
All right. Thank you for joining us.
Yep. Thank you for joining
Goodbye.
us, and goodbye. And we hope